Hello, everyone. Very nice to have all of you here. Thank you so much for taking the time to join. This webinar is Pathways to Engagement within WCPA, and we're going to be discussing different opportunities to engage with WCPA, as well as providing a bit of a high-level overview of how our commission functions. It's not always the easiest to decipher, so we are looking to give a bit of a WCPA 101 introduction today. My name is Erin Drage. I serve as the executive officer to IUCN WCPA, so I work in the chair's office and help to keep the commission running and enable all of our amazing volunteers to do the work that they do. So just to start us off, we're going to have a short presentation from Ian Stewart out of the Commission Support Unit at IUCN's headquarters in Switzerland. We're very grateful to have Ian here to help us understand where WCPA is situated within the broader IUCN ecosystem and to help decipher what is a relatively complex structure within our union. So Ian, I will pass it over to you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Erin. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I am just going to share my screen. So hopefully you can see that. Thanks for the thumbs up there, Erin. Okay, so everybody, my name's Ian Stewart. I'm Director of Membership and Commission Support Unit at IUCN, as well as the Global Communications Unit. First of all, for all of you that are now new members to the World Commission on Protected Areas, a big welcome, and to everybody else, it's great to see you here. As part of WCPA, you've also joined IUCN, which is the world's largest and most diverse environmental network. And here you will find all sorts of different people, but the one thing that unifies us all is our passion for conservation. And so it's great to have you here. As Erin said, I'm going to tell you a little bit about IUCN and where the commissions fit within this. So the first thing is, what is IUCN? It's the International Union for Conservation of Nature. We were established back in 1948, and we're truly a global organization. Our headquarters is in Switzerland, where I'm speaking to you from, but we have offices in over 45 countries around the world. We have members in more than 160 countries in the world, and we have commission members in even more countries than that around the world. Our vision is a just world that values and conserves nature, and our mission is to influence and encourage and assist societies to conserve the integrity and diversity of nature and ensure that any use of natural resources is equitable and ecologically sustainable. So what exactly does IUCN do? Well, the simple way is to explain is that we implement a program of work called the Nature 2030 program. This is a 10-year program running from 2021 to 2030. It was approved by all our members with input from the commissions back in 2021. And it focuses on 5 broad areas where IUCN is working to deliver tangible and positive impacts. The people at the center. Our vision for this is that biodiversity is nurtured in harmony with human well-being based on the principles of equity, equality, and justice. For land, our vision is one of intact landscapes which are protected while sustainable use balances the needs of people and nature on production and urban land. For water, our aim is one of freshwater systems that support and sustain biodiversity and human needs. Oceans, our vision is one of the stronger legal frameworks and investment in biodiversity restoration to ensure a healthy ocean, supporting nature and people. And climate is one of global temperature rise that is limited to 1.5 degrees through ambitious mitigation measures alongside effective adaptation. All our work contributes in one way or the other to the Sustainable Development Goals, to the Convening Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, and to the Paris Agreement on climate change. IUCN, this is where we get a little bit complicated. IUCN is made up of 5 broad areas. There's 5 parts of the union. There are the members. As I said, we have about over 1,400 members. There's lots of different types of members. States are members of IUCN, government agencies, subnational governments, as well as NGOs and indigenous peoples organizations. And together, members, they participate in developing the program that I showed you, and also where their priorities coincide with the delivery of the program, they also help to deliver it too. Now, members can be organized into national and regional committees, and there's 77 of them, and committees vary. In some countries, they're a small volunteer group, but in other countries, they're their own legal entity and they employ staff, and they implement a program, a multi-million dollar program portfolio of projects on conservation. Next, we have commissions, and we have now, very pleased to say, over 17,000 commission members. And our commissions are divided into 7 networks of volunteer conservation scientists, experts, and managers, each with specialist and regional subgroups. Commissions really help IUCN to broaden conservation knowledge and competence and help drive IUCN's work into new areas of conservation. Commissions provide the knowledge and the conservation science for the IUCN program, and I'll tell you a little bit more about them later. Then we have the Secretariat. There's over 1,000 people in the Secretariat. I'm one of them. We help to coordinate the work of the union. We help to implement the policy and the program of IUCN in coordination with the other parts, those other parts of the union that you see up there. And finally, we are led by a council of 40 people, and the council provides direction and support for IUCN. These are the 7 IUCN commissions. You are joining or have joined or are part of the World Commission on Protected Areas, but there's others, just so you know, and if you're interested in them, you're also welcome to join them. There's the Commission on Education and Communication. CESP is the Commission on Environmental, Economic and Social Policy. CEM is the Commission on Ecosystem Management. SSC is the Species Survival Commission. WCEL is the World Commission on Environmental Law. WCPA is you, and CCC is the Climate Crisis Commission. So what do commissions do? As I said, very much they provide the science. They help to develop a lot of the knowledge and tools, both individually as commissions and together as commissions. There's some examples on this list, and I'm sure Madhu will go into more detail about the ones relevant to WCPA. And then beyond this, commission members help to do a lot of the analysis and recommendations for IUCN based on this data. You've all joined IUCN. I'd just like to make a few little points about why different people join IUCN. You might have joined for different reasons, but the main reasons that we find people have become commission members is because they want to network and build global collaborations. They want to have better access and better understanding of IUCN knowledge products. Being a commission member gives you an opportunity to share your expertise. And we provide platforms in terms of publications and events, etc., for you to help you influence policy. Commission members also, and please don't forget to take advantage of this, you get discount on IUCN events. Our next big event that's going to happen is the World Conservation Congress. This will be in October 2025 in Abu Dhabi. It'll be the world's biggest conservation event of next year. And there's also discounts on IUCN Academy courses. A really, really big thank you to everyone because you are volunteering your time. And as with many things in life, the more effort you put in, the more you get back out of it. And so I encourage you to engage and be as active as possible, and you will reap the rewards and the benefits of this. And that is the end of my little introduction to IUCN. So I'm going to pass the floor over to Madhu Rao, who's the chair of the World Commission on Protected Areas. Thanks. I'll stop sharing.
Thanks, Ian, and hello, everyone. It's great to be here and to meet all of you who are members of the World Commission on Protected Areas. I'm Madhu Rao, and I chair the World Commission on Protected Areas. It is such a broad and wide-ranging set of issues that the Commission covers that it's almost impossible to cover it all in a 10-minute presentation. But I will try to give you a bit of a flavor of what we're about, and that should help you understand where you can engage. Next slide, please. So WCPA has a very clear vision to value and ensure that we have systems of protected areas that are effective in conserving nature, and that these systems are valued not just as cornerstones for conserving biodiversity, but are recognized for the benefits that they produce and provide to human health, livelihoods, and well-being. And of course, recognized for the fact that they are natural solutions to global challenges such as climate change and the health crises. At the left side of the slide, you will see our impact report from last year, the WCPA Impact Report 2023, which sort of gives you a sense of the scope and depth of the work we do. So I encourage all of you to take a copy of it and take a look at it. Next slide, please. So our mission, as Ian said, is to develop and provide scientific and technical advice and also provide policy guidance on key aspects related to the conservation of protected and conserved areas. So these are just some numbers to help you understand the scope of our impact. So for example, in 2023, we produced 49 technical guidance documents. We have our Parks Journal, which is there. We have 2 issues of the journal every year. Our members are engaged in a number of peer-reviewed scientific publications. Our regional leaders are engaged in workshops and webinars across the 12 regions that we have members in. We have a number of task forces, and I think the most exciting thing is always the number of times WCPA publications are downloaded every year is quite astonishing, that they continue to support practitioners around the world with the knowledge that they need for protected areas. Next slide, please. So one of the main issues that the Commission has focused on in this quadrennium is Target 3 of the Global Biodiversity Framework, and the emphasis on Target 3 is the importance of scaling area-based conservation if we want to achieve the goal of living in harmony with nature. But the scope of the challenge is not insignificant. So we have about 17% of terrestrial and inland water systems that are protected, and just about 8% of the ocean that's protected. And if we want to achieve the 30% target by 2030, that's quite the leap that we have to make. So this sort of sets the basis of most of the work that WCPA took on over the past 3 years, and continues to set the ground for our future priorities. Next slide, please. So this is just an example of some of the technical guidance that we produced in our focus on advancing global biodiversity policy and action. So this, as I said, our focus is on the target 3 primarily, but not exclusively. We developed guidance, but most importantly, we developed some key partnerships, for example, with the Secretariat of the CBD, with the Secretariat of the High Ambition Coalition, with the UNEP World Conservation Monitoring Center. And this, on the right side, you see is a website called 30 by 30 Solutions. And the technical guidance that you see within this website is very much contributed to by the Commission's knowledge products. Next slide, please. So this is a summary of our engagement and impact at the recently held COP16, the Convention on Biological Diversity meetings in Cali, Colombia. We were hugely visible. We engaged in more than 15 side events. I think it was close to about 30 side events. And we launched some very, very important publications that were relevant to the Global Biodiversity Framework. And these included information notes, technical notes, one issues paper, and so on. And so this is the kind of policy advocacy that the Commission engages in. We develop these knowledge products in consultation with a number of experts and find opportunities and avenues to launch them, to influence the policy dialogue. Next slide, please. With the UNEP WCMC, which is the World Conservation Monitoring Center, we have a partnership, and we released this brand new Status of Protected Areas report at the CBD COP16 in Cali, which is the Protected Planet Report for 2024, which gives the current status of coverage of protected and conserved areas across the world. And this is an important monitoring mechanism to help us understand the degree of progress we are making against global biodiversity targets. And together with the High Ambition Coalition, we organized a 30 by 30 action day, which was really to understand the state of progress of implementation of Target 3, and specifically to understand, where are the gaps. We wanted to share experiences and also challenges and main lessons learned. So these are the types of activities that we engaged with at the recent CBD COP16. Next slide, please. So it's not just biodiversity that we're biodiversity policy that we're concerned about. Protected and conserved areas are critical natural solutions, hence very important for climate change mitigation and adaptation. So this is an issue that we are focusing on quite heavily moving forward, making sure that protected and conserved areas are recognized as providing climate refugia, for providing resilience to a changing climate, and of course, as adaptation and protection against disasters. Next slide, please. Hence, we do have some presence at the UNFCCC COP29. These are just examples of some technical notes that we co-developed with our sister commission, the Climate Crisis Commission, again, trying to enforce the point about protected and conserved areas being critical natural climate solutions, but also trying to bring to the fore the need for integration of the biodiversity and climate agendas, and positioning protected and conserved areas at the nexus of these two huge international policy agendas. Next slide, please. So some of the main areas of work, I'm just giving a few examples here. So for example, for governance, equity and rights, the Commission, it is a major theme of the Commission. We have done various activities. So this roadmap for advancing rights and equity and conservation was led by us and a few other partners, and it was released following a workshop in Nairobi earlier this year, really trying to unpack the rights and equity element of Target 3, being extremely important for us to achieve the target. Next slide, please. This is again an example of a very, very relevant and important good practice guidelines that we released at the CBD COP16, which speaks to recognizing territories and areas conserved by Indigenous peoples and local communities overlapped by protected areas. So this took several years in development, and it almost 4 to 5 years for various reasons, but we were very pleased to have it released, and we're now going to be translating it into a number of different languages. Next slide, please. The other important agenda for WCPA has been the issue of rangers, and we're looking at rangers being the human element of Target 3. So the position being that we cannot achieve the target without improving the human capacity that we have and building that capacity. And so we definitely see rangers at the heart of the target. And these are just examples of some of the work we've been doing. Next slide, please. With the International Ranger Federation and the Universal Ranger Support Alliance, and it just shows some of the guidance and standards that are being developed to professionalize the ranger workforce, to improve competencies and to increase accountability. So lots going on in this field. Next slide, please. Also, the health is a very important area. So we have a specialist group on health and well-being, but we also have a new task force on One Health, which is developing tools and guidance for protected area managers to tackle health issues and zoonotic viruses and the spillover of these viruses in protected areas. So this is clearly an important global issue and we want to ensure that governments recognize the importance of protected and conserved areas for human health and well-being. Next slide, please. Financing, just an example to show that we have a very, very active sustainable financing specialist group, and this is through the Sustainable Finance Coalition. We have co-chairs Candace Stevens and David Myers, really coming up with a set of tools and guidance on sustainable financing for protected and conserved areas. And we're just getting ready to launch a new guidance on this very topic. Next slide, please. Restoration is target 2 of the Global Biodiversity Framework, and we created a new task force, which is led by Stephanie Mansourian. And please get in touch if you want to engage in that task force. We have a brand new spatial planning task force as well, and that's related to Target 1. I think this goes to say that we recognize that Target 3 cannot be achieved in isolation. So the Commission is going to pay attention to other targets that are linked to Target 3. Next slide, please. World Heritage and the Commission have a very, very unique and special relationship. So WCPA provides technical expertise and support to IUCN's World Heritage advisory work. to the World Heritage Committee at the UNESCO World Heritage Center. And we have a new thematic vice chair for World Heritage. And we are, I think, as you might have, some of you might have seen, in the process of developing a new specialist group on World Heritage. Next slide, please. So an important role for the Commission is that of convening. And so this is just a fantastic picture of from May of this year, where WCPA supported Metsä Hallitus, Finland Parks and Wildlife, to host the World Protected Area Leaders Forum. We had, as you can see there, leaders from 16 countries that included 11 state and NGO members of IUCN. And we have a report that's just been launched. This is a really important forum for leaders and CEOs of protected area agencies to come together to share lessons and experiences. Next slide, please. And similarly, we've got another convening that we supported this year, the 12th World Wilderness Congress, or the Wild 12, which was in August. And this was really important for us. WCPA was heavily engaged. We were on the organizing committee of this Congress. We gave away a couple of awards for outstanding service, and we also supported a number of resolutions as well as the declaration. Next slide, please. Most importantly, WCPA and all the commissions have an obligation to deliver on WCC resolutions, the World Conservation Congress resolutions, including those which specifically call on WCPA to implement or carry out a piece of work. And this is where members can, WCPA members can really engage and support the implementation of resolutions. These are just some metrics. WCPA has created about 10 task forces that are either planned or created to aim specific recommendations within resolutions. And also to give you the scope of work we have. So just as an example, 66 resolutions from 2020 and 2016, the previous two World Conservation Congresses have something relevant to our work program for this quadrennium. And there are at least 19 resolutions for which we've developed technical guidance and or engaged in policy advocacy for. This is my last slide, and thank you very much. And please feel free to ask us any questions on any of these slides. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Madhu. That was a small taste of the tremendous amount of work that we're doing in this commission, and I really appreciate the overview, as I'm sure our attendees do as well. So again, my name is Erin Drage. I'm the Executive Officer of IUCN WCPA, and it's my role to help support the immense amount of work that this commission does across its various arms. And I'm going to speak just briefly about some of the opportunities for engagement within the commission. We promised to give you a bit of an overview of how the pathways to engage in all of this work that Madhu has just described. And again, that wasn't even an exhaustive list. It was only a taste of what we do here at WCPA. So most of what I'm about to run through is outlined in the IUCN WCPA membership guide, which was just updated last year. All WCPA members who are newly admitted to the commission are sent this membership guide, and it's also available for download on the WCPA website. So that landing page on the website is linked in this QR code, and I believe Emma will also drop the link in the chat. So if you're not familiar with this membership guide, if you haven't seen it before, I highly recommend reading it as a first step on your engagement journey with the commission. It outlines some very helpful information to help you navigate where you might want to volunteer your time within this large network. So I'm just going to take a moment to quickly run through the WCPA organizational structure. Ian very graciously helped us better understand the complex structure of IUCN more broadly earlier, and WCPA has its own structure as a commission, and so this is a bit of that organizational structure here. And this outlines the main components of WCPA. We have 9 themes within the commission and 12 operational regions. And each of our themes and regions has a vice chair who are responsible for implementing the work of those thematic areas and regions. And each of those vice chairs sits on WCPA's steering committee. So they really make up the steering committee within the commission, as well as facilitating the work happening across the themes and regions. We also have specialist groups and task forces, which I'll touch on in a bit more detail shortly. We have special projects, which are really set up to help us implement our mandate in ways that might not be captured in our other arms of the commission. The chair's office is a small but mighty team of folks who help run the commission from an administrative perspective and enable our volunteers to do as much work as we do within the commission. The commission support unit you've already heard about from Ian. They are a tremendous team out of IUCN's headquarters who support all of the commissions in implementing our mandates. And finally, we have our publications editors who do a tremendous amount of work in managing WCPA's publications. There are many publications that come out of our commission in the form of guidance documents, knowledge products, and as you heard, a peer-reviewed scientific journal called Parks. And WCPA members can contribute to any and all of these components of the commission. And we're always looking for members with the time and capacity to voluntarily dedicate to the efforts of each of these pieces of our work. So if you're looking to situate yourself within the commission, reviewing this organizational chart is another good place to start. And each of the individuals here who are the chairs of our specialist groups, task forces, regions, themes, they can be contacted to find out more if you have real capacity to deliver on some of the work that these various arms of the commission are doing. And this organizational chart is found on our website, and it's also in our impact reports that we release every year. So it's a good place to start. WCPA currently has just over 3,000 members of the commission in all regions of the world. We're always looking to bring on new WCPA members who can actively engage with our work, and we're striving for better geographical representation across all of our operating regions. There, as I mentioned, there are 12 regions in the commission, and when WCPA members join, they're automatically added to the regional group corresponding to the address in their application. So each of you as a WCPA member would be a member of your specific region as well. So I'm a member of the North American region of WCPA, for example. And as I mentioned, each regional group has a regional vice chair who's responsible for bringing together the members of the region to network, to contribute to WCPA's work more broadly. And you've probably seen the regional vice chair in your region holding members meetings to bring folks together. Our regional vice chairs often host webinars or workshops or facilitate discussion between WCPA members through IUCN Engage, which we'll hear more about shortly. Some regions also have country focal points who help to further WCPA's mission in a specific country. And generally, if you have expertise or are looking to contribute your time to advancing protected areas in your region, these regional groups are a good place to engage. Some of our regions are really active in thematic areas as well. One good example is in Latin America. There's an extremely active OECM's working group who are doing a tremendous amount of work across the Latin American region. So we are always striving to, again, increase representation in these regions and take advantage of the amazing network that we have in our regions to advance protected areas priorities at a regional scale. Probably the most common way that WCPA members engage with the substantive work of the commission is through our specialist groups and task forces. A full list of the specialist group and task forces in WCPA can be found on our website, along with more information about what each of these groups is working on and how they are engaging with the broader conservation conversation in the world. Just to briefly differentiate, specialist groups are normally long-standing groups within WCPA that address core topics to our mandate and help us advance our mission as a commission, whereas task forces are time-limited and are established to tackle more time-sensitive or very discrete specific issues. Both specialist groups and task forces contribute to creating the knowledge products and doing all of the work that Madhu just outlined for us. And they are really looking to advance that mission of the Commission to promote strong governance and equitable and effective management of protected areas. Task forces tend to be a bit of a smaller group and operate in a more tight-knit working group style because they are, again, time-bound and looking to deliver very specific products. Specialist groups might be a bit larger and offer a networking opportunity for those broader thematic areas that they tackle. But every specialist group and task force is structured slightly differently. And if you're really interested in getting involved in a specific group or task force, the best course of action there is to reach out directly to the chair of the specialist group or task force. As you know, WCPA is an expert network, and our experts come often with a tremendous amount of experience in their field of study or work. But we also are really supportive here at WCPA of helping to build capacity in the next generation of protected and conserved areas leaders and experts. And so we have a young professionals network within the Commission that all new WCPA members between the ages of 18 to 35 are automatically added into. The YP network currently operates as more of an informal networking space where young professionals can meet one another, share opportunities, and engage in conversations around protected and conserved area priorities. The Young Professionals Network has 12 young professional regional focal points who act as the primary contact for young professionals looking to further their engagement in the Commission. And they also support those regional vice chairs in delivering on WCPA's work at that regional scale. So the Young Professionals Network will sometimes put out very specific calls for opportunities for a young professional to engage in our thematic or specialist group areas. And we're always looking for young people who are interested and willing to contribute their volunteer time and their skills to support the work of these groups in exchange for building their thematic expertise and tapping into really impressive networks of experts who are working at that scale within WCPA. So lots of opportunities for young professionals, and you'll hear a bit more about IUCN Engage shortly, but that is a great place to more specifically engage in the YP network, as we call it, within WCPA. So I know I just ran through a lot, but there are even more ways to engage in the Commission's work. And this is, again, by no means an exhaustive list. It's just an introduction to a lot of the work that we do. I already mentioned that specialist groups and task forces and regions tend to be some of the arms of the Commission through which members are most actively engaged and can contribute their volunteer time. But I wanted to mention just a couple of other opportunities. You heard from Madhu a lot about our publications, and publications really are a foundation in a lot of ways of the work that we produce. And it takes a tremendous amount of effort to write and publish every individual WCPA publication. WCPA members can propose publications directly to our editors, and instructions for this process and a lot more information is found on our website for what that looks like. But usually publications are associated with a specific group or theme within the Commission. So aligning yourself with a specialist group or task force is a great way to get a publication process off the ground within the Commission. And because these publications take so much work, we are actively and often looking for volunteers to support the publications process. We are actively looking for handling editors on some of our publications, and we're always looking for reviewers for that PARCS journal, the peer-reviewed scientific journal that the Commission produces. And so there are a lot of tangible volunteer opportunities within our publications theme, and you can always reach out to me or WCPA's leadership to get more information if you have time to contribute there. And finally, WCPA has plenty of opportunities for volunteers that come on more ad hoc basis. Like Madhu said, we always look for volunteers to support with resolution implementation. We often look for translation support to try to make our commission content more accessible in different languages across the regions. And so those calls for volunteers will go out through our various communications channels within the commission as well. So that is plenty for now. I will leave it there, and we will again link to that membership guide. It is on the website. I strongly recommend you take a look. But for now, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Vivian, who will talk a little bit more about the communications platforms and various ways you can engage with this big network that is WCPA. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Erin. I'm just going to make sure you all see my screen before I start. All good?
Yes, looks great. Thanks, Vivian.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So my name is Vivian, and thank you, Erin, for your wonderful presentation. As Erin and Ian have mentioned earlier, we are the Membership Commission Support Unit. We do our best to provide different kinds of support to the commissions where that's needed. For the context of this webinar, I will be talking about how commission members within WCPA can connect more with each other, but also with the commission at large. What platforms has IUCN made available to aid this connection? A couple of things that I would run through are the three main platforms that we have, and then I would share a resource in the chat from where you can get further information on the functionality of all these platforms and how best you can utilize them. Starting with the commission membership system, this is the portal through which you anyway applied for your membership, for your commission membership. On here, we advise commission members to update and edit their profile as often as necessary, because that's where people can find you, find your expertise. That's also the platform for you to also find other commission members, find people in your region, connect with them or collaborate with them. Away from that, we also have IUCN Engage. IUCN Engage is IUCN's main community platform for collaborating, for events, for sharing, for networking, or just for working together. A couple of things that you can do with IUCN Engage. You can post stories, you can post about your work, you can post about the impacts that you're having in different aspects of your work with the commission. You can post about, I don't know, regional meetings or workshop. A number of people have utilized it very well in uploading call for proposals or consultancies. A lot of opportunities can be found on the platform, and it's pretty easy to use. And to even make things more exciting, we've also introduced a new gamification feature that also that increases your avatar the more you use the platform. So we encourage people to sign up on IUCN Engage, explore the platform, see all the opportunities that are within there, and see how best they can use it for themselves. Emma would paste the link to Engage in the chat. And like I said earlier, at the end of the presentation, I would post a link to a document that shares more about these different platforms. Now we also have, in addition to that, we have the IUCN website. This is the main public-facing platform of IUCN. And here we post a lot of IUCN's work can be found on the website. The different commissions and their specialist groups all have dedicated web pages on the website. And a common support that we give to commissions in terms of the website is to post their content on there, better give visibility to the different work that they're doing, make sure that specialist group leaders are easily found and accessible by commission members, but also keeping up to date the commission's information as they would like it to appear. The focal point for posting on IUCN's website is the Commission Executive Officer, in this case, Erin. So if you want any of your content on the website, or you need some website related support, please reach out to Erin, who will then coordinate with us. The main use or the main idea behind these platforms is to increase visibility for commission members and also for the commission and in its different lines of work. To promote knowledge sharing amongst Commission, IUCN is big on networking, knowledge sharing, and just collaboration. So we also want these platforms to enable members to do these things. It also strengthens networking collaboration within the Commission and among Commission members. Having said that, this document here is just a snip of the main document. Emma, could you please put that in the chat? You can access the link in the chat to learn more about all these different platforms, how to use them, how to sign up, and then who is the focal person or the contact person for using any of these platforms. Emma here manages IUCN Engage, and she's always ready to help you. The contact is right there, engage@iucn.org. For the website, please reach out to Erin. And then for the Commission membership system, by virtue of being an IUCN Commission member, you have a profile on the CMS, and we encourage you to update it and keep it as updated as possible. For further needs, you can also contact commission@iucn.org if you need any specific thing update on your profile. Having said that, thank you all. We remain available to help, to support wherever you might need. Just reach out to us and we're here for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vivian, and thank you everyone for sticking with us. I know this is a lot of information to be digesting about WCPA, about ways to engage in the Commission. We do have some time here for some question and answers. I encourage you to drop your questions in the Q&A function in the Zoom meeting here. It helps keep it nice and clean. And if you have easier access to the chat, you can also drop up questions in the chat. I do see we had one question come through about the Commission structure, so I'll just read it for everyone's sake. From the organizational chart that we showed on screen earlier, is the chair's office the only block that includes IUCN staff, and all others, for example, the task forces, specialist groups, etc., are compiled of members? So yes, great question. The Commission support unit that you saw in that organizational chart are all IUCN staff dedicated to supporting the commissions, and the chair's office is actually primarily volunteer driven. Most of the folks who have a position within the chair's office are volunteers, or some might be contracted on consultancies. And then there is one position within the chair's office that is a paid staff role to support the administrative side of the Commission. But every other part of that organizational chart that you see in WCPA is volunteer driven. So it is all WCPA members who are volunteering their time to move forward the work of our Commission, which, when you consider how much that this Commission is able to produce, it's a pretty amazing feat to reflect on, because it is all coming from volunteers like you. So I hope that answers your question, but happy to clarify as needed. If there are any other questions, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A box now or in the chat. I see another question. So in a couple of talks specifically about the World Conservation Congress and others, there have been mentions about fees. How do we know our fee totals and due dates? Great question. So IUCN Commission membership, which we're talking about here with WCPA, is free. There's no fee associated with WCPA membership, but there are fees associated with IUCN membership. So those member organizations who are in a separate pillar of IUCN's overall structure. So no commission fees. It is free to be a commission member. I don't know if Ian, you want to build on that question at all, or if you have anything to add there.
I think the only other thing is if they're asking about the World Conservation Congress fees, the registration fees. So these are yet to be announced. They'll be, when registration opens in March, they'll be announced there. I know they were having a discussion about it this morning on the Congress preparatory committee about the fees. But there will be, whatever they are, there is a discount for IUCN Commission members. Thanks.
Great. Thanks so much for clarifying, Ian. That is perfect. And actually, this next question, Ian, maybe you can tackle as well, if you don't mind. This question was about the country committees. Are country committees autonomous, or is their work effectively endorsed by the wider IUCN, bearing in mind it can set a precedent on global issues? Not sure, Ian, if you're there and able to answer that one. Otherwise, I can take a stab at it.
Sorry, I just had to answer someone knocking at the door. Can you remind me what the question was, please?
Yes. For the country committees, are they autonomous, or is their work effectively endorsed by the wider IUCN, bearing in mind it can set a precedent on global issues?
Oh, well, that's a big question, that one. So the committees are made up of the members from that. So a national committee, it's made up of the members in that country. A regional committee, it's made up of representatives of the different national committees in the region. They are asked to align to overall IUCN policies, and IUCN policies are, you can see what they are. They're based a lot on resolutions that are passed at the World Conservation Congress, and they're also part of the IUCN program and vision that also get adopted, as well as the Commission mandates that get adopted at the World Conservation Congress. So the policies and are all there. So they're expected to align with those, if that sort of answers your question.
Thanks, Ian. Very helpful. And it takes some time to wrap all of our heads around these different arms of IUCN. And so I appreciate you speaking to the country and regional committees as well. I see another very good, not at all dumb question in the chat here from Sarah. Thank you. So the question is effectively about what kinds of topics can or should be posted on IUCN Engage. Sarah is mentioning here small projects, reflections, ideas from their work. Are these things that could be posted on IUCN Engage? How formal or informal can IUCN Engage be? That is a really excellent question, and I'm happy to speak to it briefly, and then maybe I'll have Emma weigh in as well. But IUCN Engage is a relatively new platform within the IUCN system and is made in part for exactly those topics, ideas, reflections, and conversation starters that you're mentioning here, Sarah. So there is very little that should not be posted on IUCN Engage. It is a place meant specifically to foster conversation and to engage in dialogue with your fellow Commission and IUCN members. The IUCN Engage ecosystem brings together all of those components of the union that Ian was talking about earlier. We have a dedicated space within IUCN Engage for the World Commission on Protected Areas, where you might bring some of those more specific protected areas, thematic conversations or conversation starters to post and be looking for feedback or input, or just to have a good conversation with other protected areas experts from around the world. So IUCN Engage is a platform that you should feel very empowered to use as a way to collaborate and connect with your fellow Commission members around the world. Emma, not sure if you want to add anything to that or if you have any specific advice there.
No, I think you've actually covered pretty much everything, Erin, but yeah, feel free to post your content. You've also got different levels, so you can create a post like within one of your WCPA groups, so more of a like, hi, I'm working on this, or I saw this interesting thing, I just wanted to quickly share it. So that would appear in the stream of your group, so a bit like your LinkedIn homepage when you go to LinkedIn and that first page where you sort of see the different posts of different people within your network. Or you could go and post a topic, so more maybe a more fleshed out page. So a topic or a discussion, which would be something that's more got a start and end date to it. And of course, there's events. And I know several people on this call have also used Engage to host their webinars. So yeah, but feel free to reach out if you've got any questions.
Thanks so much, Emma. That's perfect. And I think we have time for one more question if there is anything else left unaddressed here in this meeting. Otherwise, we can go ahead and wrap up. I'll give it just a second to see if any last questions come in, but I will also leave you with the encouragement to not hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. As we've mentioned a few times, we are a small but mighty team who keep the commission running. I am often the first point of contact as the executive officer for the commission to answer questions that might come through in any moment about how to better engage in the commission or what WCPA is doing at any specific time. So please do not hesitate to reach out, and to the Commission Support Unit who you've heard from here, who are always happy to answer questions as well. I do see one last question in the chat about any more information on the World Parks Congress. Madhu, if you're available, you can maybe speak to that briefly. For those who might not be aware, the World Parks Congress is a major congress focused on protected areas that happens once approximately every 10 years. But Madhu, if you'd like to speak to the status right now, that would be great.
Sure, thanks. It's always a question that comes up in any forum, regardless of the theme of the forum. So the World Parks Congress, the request for nominations has went out a few weeks ago, and we're currently processing the applications that have come in, and that'll happen. So we'll choose the destination in the next couple of months. So it will happen in 2027.
Thank you, Madhu. Excellent. And I see there's one last question from Ricardo in the chat about having an IUCN mail domain, which there are opportunities sometimes for the core leadership within WCPA to get an IUCN email address. It's really for those who are doing the most substantive and time-consuming work within the commission, whereby it is helpful or necessary for them to have access to an IUCN email address, but it's not generally that's available to all commission members, just for the administrative hoops that it takes to establish IUCN domained emails, of course. And so it's for folks with very specific appointments within the commission who might have one of those. For example, some regional vice chairs do have access to an IUCN mailing address. So with that, and to make sure we wrap up on time, I will keep us on time here to finish up. I will say one last plug. WCPA has grown quite a following in recent years on LinkedIn and X, formerly Twitter. We have really strong and engaged communities on social media here, and it's one of the tools we use to communicate outwardly about the work that we're doing. As WCPA members, you receive all of our internal communications, including our bulletins, newsletters, and notifications from IUCN Engage. But if you're looking to just stay up to date on the tremendous amount of work and the outputs that WCPA is putting out into the world, following us on LinkedIn and X is a really great way to stay up to speed. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Really appreciate the time and engagement, and please don't hesitate to reach out. We're looking forward to having even more active volunteers within our network here. Have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to speaking with you soon. Thanks so much.